Genesis chapter 1 scales the universe. It pulls back to show light separating from darkness, oceans dividing, and millions of stars taking their positions. A universe without a human observer to experience it remains an empty terrarium. In other ancient Mesopotamian traditions, humanity often appears as an afterthought. Those myths describe gods building humans as temporary labor to maintain irrigation canals so the deities could rest. This diagram shows a shift in perspective. Genesis chapter 2 moves away from the cosmic scale and focuses on a single human figure. In these 25 verses, the text describes the initial rules for labor, rest, marriage, and moral agency. Analyzing this chapter is essential because it details the origins of humanity's physical form and the social conditions the author establishes as our original state. The chapter opens with the structure of time. God stops working on the seventh day. The text describes this as a deliberate act of sanctifying time, distinct from a response to physical fatigue. The narrative then turns to human construction, focusing on the dual nature of our origins. Man is formed from the dust of the ground, common, base dirt. That dirt sits inert until God breathes into its nostrils the breath of life. At that moment, the man becomes a living soul. This leaves humanity operating as a paradox. We are described as both humble, mortal soil and divine, eternal breath. Genesis 2 presents Eden as a physical landscape defined by its specific topography and natural resources. This image shows the physical reality of the Tigris and Euphrates basin. The text grounds the story here, naming the Euphrates and the Hiddekel, known today as the Tigris, as two of the 4 rivers watering the region. The first river, Pison, circles the land of Havilah. The text specifically catalogs the physical wealth found there: gold, bdellium, a fragrant plant resin, and onyx stones. This image of the Ethiopian landscape reflects the topographical anchors used by the ancient authors. The second river, Gihon, is linked to this region, showing a desire to place paradise in a known physical context. This photograph captures a dark, misty riverbank. Before the narrative mentions rain, it describes a mist rising from the earth to water the face of the ground. Inside this physical space, man receives his first assignment. He is put into the garden to dress it and to keep it. The text presents labor as humanity's original purpose within a structured reality, occurring before the narrative introduces concepts of punishment or toil. This map shows the moral landscape of Eden. The man is given freedom to eat from any tree in the garden, with one restriction: the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. By placing a forbidden object within reach, the environment introduces a choice. This creates the conditions for human free will and establishes moral agency. The stakes for this agency are absolute. God warns that eating of the tree leads to the introduction of mortality, stating, "Thou shalt surely die." Then the narrative introduces a shift. After declaring every step of creation good, God notes that the man's isolation is not good. Adam is brought every beast and bird to name them. It is an exercise of intellect and classification. Yet among all the creatures, he finds no equal partner. He has dominion over a flawless environment, yet the text presents this as insufficient. Human isolation is described as creation's first void. This illustration depicts a human rib cage with a single rib highlighted. The text describes a surgical solution to human isolation. God causes a deep sleep to fall on Adam and removes one of his ribs. The text describes the woman being formed from the man's side. This positioning identifies her as an equal, distinct from the imagery of ruling from the head or being subservient at the feet. When she is brought to him, Adam speaks the first poetry recorded in the text, recognizing her as bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. This moment establishes the structure of marriage, where a man leaves his parents to cleave to his wife, becoming one flesh. The arrival of the woman completes the initial social structure described in the text, addressing the state of human isolation. Genesis 2 closes on a state of total vulnerability. The man and his wife are naked, and they feel no shame. This diagram shows a state of equilibrium. Humanity is operating in harmony across 3 pillars. They are at peace with God, at peace with the natural world, and at peace with each other. This state of security provides the starting point for the rest of the Genesis narrative, establishing the necessary contrast for the conflicts that follow.